During Willow Reed's poorest days, I would send her money every night via Venmo as an expression of love. She accepted the money but never my affection. Later, she achieved fame and success, while I had long since departed this world. At the class reunion, someone urged her to marry the one she truly loved without delay. She scoffed, "What true love? Even if there ever was, it's long dead." The very next second, she actually received news of my murder. When the doorbell rang, Willow Reed was in the process of breaking up with her 8th boyfriend. She snapped impatiently, "Don't ever call me again." Then she went to open the door. Seeing it was my mom outside, she froze for a moment before her expression turned even uglier. "I already told you, Ethan isn't here." My mom smiled awkwardly, her eyes filled with timid pleading. "I know, but you're the only one who can find Ethan. Please talk to him, convince him to come home. It's been so long since I've seen him. Willow Reed, I can't find him, and don't come bothering me again." With those words, she pushed the door shut with force. If my mom hadn't instinctively stepped back, her face might have been hit. My mother stood outside the door refusing to leave, knocking persistently again and again. Willow Reed sat on the leather sofa inside, her expression darker than the night outside. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, snow could be seen beginning to fall in swirling flurries. The night I was killed 3 years ago, it was snowing too. Before I died, I was transferring money to Willow Reed. The robber took my phone and went through my chat history with Willow Reed. He mocked me. "What a pathetic simp you are. Sent so much money without even getting a reply. Should have given it to me instead." I only have one last breath left, struggling even to inhale. How could I possibly have the strength to argue with him? But truth be told, I was a simp wholly devoted to Willow Reed for 8 months, only to end up with nothing, even losing my life over it. Tonight, if I hadn't taken this shortcut to surprise her, I wouldn't have run into this mugger. After forcing my bank card pin out of me, he stabbed me 8 times, each strike meant to kill. In the final moments, I was still worrying, what if Willow Reed didn't have the money? For over a year, my soul lay dormant. When I awoke, everything had changed beyond recognition. Willow Reed had already achieved fame and success, no longer needing to endure my nightly disturbances for that sum of money. I lingered by her side, watching as she cycled through one boyfriend after another. They're all handsome, at least more handsome than me. I really want to ask Willow Reed, did you reject me before because I wasn't handsome enough? But she couldn't hear me, not even when I called her out for playing with my feelings. I've always wondered when Willow Reed would find out I'm dead. Maybe she'll never know? If my mother hadn't come looking today, she probably wouldn't have remembered me at all. She always kept an old phone tucked beneath her pillow, and even when getting up to use the bathroom at midnight, she would grope for it and glance at it. I've never once seen her turn that phone on, much less discovered what treasured contents it held. All I know is that 3 years ago when I pursued her, she was still single. But rumor has it, there was always someone she truly loved in her heart. Presumably, whatever that phone held was connected to that beloved someone, never to me. For, later, my mother was taken home by my father. As they walked, they murmured to each other, "Does she really not know where Ethan is? But Ethan likes her so much, how could he not come looking for her? Maybe Ethan is heartbroken. You shouldn't bother her anymore in the future. But I really miss Ethan. It's been 3 years since he came back," my mother said, her voice breaking even more with tears. My father was also very sad. He wiped her tears and couldn't help but glance back longingly. As they walked farther away, I could no longer make out what they were saying. I wanted so badly to go home with them, but I couldn't. Ever since I woke up, I'd been bound to Willow Reed's side. 5 meters is already my limit. Any farther, and it's impossible. An invisible barrier always holds me firmly in place. I miss my parents too, but I can only catch a brief glimpse of them when they come looking for Willow Reed. I feel sorry for them. 5 Aside from work engagements, Willow Reed would occasionally meet up with old classmates. Most of them were women, with 2 men mixed in. I suspect that handsome, roguish guy is Willow Reed's beloved. The way he looks at her is filled with affection. At every gathering, they sat side by side. Having been by Willow Reed's side for over a year, I'd never seen her sit that close to any other man. An old classmate teased, "Willow, when are you marrying Liam? He's waited 3 years for you. Any longer and he'll turn into an old bachelor." Exactly. Our Willow's already successful in her career. It's about time she finds a man to warm her bed. Willow Reed let them tease her without responding, until someone asked, "Could it be that Liam isn't the love of Willow's life?" Willow Reed scoffed, "What love of my life? Even if there was one, they'd be long dead by now." Her words had barely faded when the phone rang. 6. The man who robbed and killed me 3 years ago has recently committed another crime. After the police captured him, they followed the clues and uncovered my death. They notified my parents. Then, my parents called Willow Reed. "We're sorry, it turns out Ethan has been gone for years. We've bothered you many times before and caused you trouble. We apologize." After my mother finished speaking, she broke down in tears. I heard my father softly comforting her beside her, but his voice was choked with sobs too. It felt like my heart was being sliced by a knife. Even as a soul, the pain still pierced through. I looked at Willow Reed and noticed her entire body had frozen. Others in the compartment sensed something amiss and turned their gazes toward her. "Willow, what's wrong?" Liam asked softly, his eyes filled with concern. Willow Reed was jolted back to reality by his voice and abruptly stood up. The excessively sudden movement startled everyone else. Ignoring their questions, Willow Reed rushed outside without even grabbing his coat. "What's going on?" Usually when following her, I'm lazy and unhurried. Today she's so fast, forcing me to pick up my pace too. Along the way she even bumped into a waiter, but didn't even turn her head, just kept running outside. The waiter muttered angrily under his breath, "So rude." I nodded vigorously in agreement. Thankfully, Willow Reed hadn't drunk at the party earlier and could still drive herself home. She usually drives very steadily, but today she dashed around recklessly, as if the road belonged to her, forcing everyone else to make way. By the time she arrived at my house, my mother was already sobbing uncontrollably, slumped on the sofa, and my father also had red-rimmed eyes. He's always been a very strong-willed person. I'd never seen him so vulnerable during my lifetime. During my rebellious teenage years, I even doubted whether my dad loved me at all. Otherwise, why was he always so harsh with me? It wasn't until this moment, seeing him bent over with grief because of my absence, that I finally understood he loved me deeply too. Willow Reed stood before them, her voice carrying an unusual tone as if concealing some emotion. "What's happening? What's wrong with Ethan?" My mother couldn't bear hearing my name now. Already devastated, she broke into uncontrollable sobs upon hearing it. It was my father who explained to Willow Reed in a hoarse, trembling voice, "Early this morning we were called to the police station. They've found Ethan's remains. The identity has been confirmed. Ethan, he was murdered 3 years ago." When exactly 3 years ago? My father was too grief-stricken to speak, so he silently handed her the documents from the police station. Willow Reed quickly took them, reading every single word with utmost attention. Only at this moment did I learn that after my death, that robber had used my phone to maintain the illusion for my parents and Willow Reed that I was still alive for a full 6 months. During his last contact with Willow Reed, he spoke harshly, "You gold-digging women are disgusting. I've found someone better. Goodbye." And then he blocked Willow Reed's contact information. So, has Willow Reed always believed that I moved on with someone else long ago? A single sheet of paper, thin as it was, laid bare everything the murderer had done in the 6 months since my death. My parents and Willow Reed were completely fooled. Later, the killer thought enough time had passed and all traces had been erased, so he dumped my phone and stopped caring. It was only after that my parents went to report me missing. But too much time had passed, and the killer had strong anti-detection skills, making the police investigation far from easy. Time slipped away unnoticed, and 3 years had passed. Even if we subtract the first 6 months, for the remaining 2.5 years, Willow Reed never once thought to reach out to me. So what does the immense grief she shows now, upon hearing news of my death, even mean? Has she forgotten that she's already been through 8 boyfriends? 8, and Liam, just as his name crossed my mind, he called Willow Reed. "Willow, where are you? You left your clothes behind. Should I bring them to you?" Willow Reed's voice was cold and steady. "No need. Keep them with you for now. You can give them to me next time." Liam wanted to say something more, but she had already hung up. Then she glanced at my parents, hesitating as if holding back words. My dad also looked up at her, holding back tears as he slowly said, "We'll be holding a memorial service for Ethan in a couple of days. If you have time, come see him off." Willow Reed remained silent. My father spoke again, "Then we won't take up any more of your time. You should go back and rest." Having said that, he lowered his head again to comfort my mother. The two elderly figures leaned against each other, presenting an utterly desolate scene. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay with them longer, even if they didn't know I was right here. So I said to Willow Reed, "Please don't leave yet, okay?" But she had already turned away. "Willow Reed, don't go." She still couldn't hear me. With the opening and closing of my front door, she was already gone. I tried to stay where I was, but in the end, that invisible barrier dragged me out too. "Dad, Mom." My voice turned into a faint breeze, brushing past my parents' ears without them even noticing. Willow Reed came home. Before she even got out of the car, I saw Liam waiting at her doorstep. "Willow." Liam quickly stepped forward to greet her. Seeing her pale complexion, he asked with concern, "What's wrong? You left in such a hurry earlier, you forgot your clothes." I thought he would hand the clothes to Willow Reed, but he didn't. Clearly, he was waiting for Willow Reed to invite him in. Yet Willow Reed suddenly took out a cigarette case, pulled out a cigarette right in front of him, and lit it. Liam froze for a moment, and I was a bit shocked too, because Willow Reed usually never smokes. Even at social gatherings, unless it's for important clients to ease the atmosphere, she barely touches cigarettes. "What's going on today? Did you lose control because of my death?" Floating in the air, I mocked Willow Reed. "For so long I was your devoted follower, and you ignored me. Now that I'm dead, you suddenly care?" Her brows furrowed tightly. After finishing one cigarette, she irritably lit another. Just then, Liam grasped her hand. Willow, what's really wrong? You can tell me after all these years. Don't you know how I feel about you? Willow Reed lifted her gaze, staring at him unblinkingly. Are they going to confess their feelings now? What perfect timing, just as news of my death is announced, they decide to declare their love for each other. I want to float back inside first. Even if I can't go too far, being 5 meters away is better than nothing. I don't want to stay and witness their heartfelt confessions and tight embrace with my own eyes. 3 years ago, I only pursued Willow Reed for 8 months, but in truth, my feelings for her had existed long before that. If Willow Reed isn't a fool, she should have sensed it long ago. Yet she never accepted me. Even after taking so much money from me later, she never softened her tone with me. Now that she's achieved fame and success, it makes perfect sense for her to choose someone handsome, someone she truly likes. I just feel a little sad in my heart, an uncontrollable sadness. I want to drift back to Mom and Dad's side, to stay with them for a while. Just as I turned around, Willow Reed's voice came through. Liam, after all these years, you should understand what kind of feelings I have for you. A flicker of panic flashed in Liam's eyes, yet he stubbornly refused to admit it. I don't understand. I don't like you. Every word was uttered with deliberate clarity by Willow Reed. Liam froze. So did I. If not him, then who was the beloved in her heart? Surely it couldn't be me. Willow Reed left Liam standing alone and returned to the house without even taking her coat. After entering the house, she went straight to the bedroom, took out the phone that had been powered off from under the pillow, and plugged it in to charge. She finally turned on the phone. I never expected the lock screen wallpaper to be my photo. Willow Reed kept staring at the phone but didn't unlock it. Her head was bowed, and the light shone on the top of her head, completely shrouding her face in shadow. I couldn't see her expression, only the taut lines of her profile suggesting she might be in a bad mood. Would she really be upset because of me? I dared not believe it, yet remained curious about what was on that phone. Willow Reed suddenly pressed the phone against her chest, slowly lying back onto the bed. She buried her face completely in the pillow, only her shoulders trembling slightly. Are you crying? I blurted out in shock. Yet she couldn't hear my voice, and naturally wouldn't respond. Later, Willow Reed fell asleep, and for the first time since my death, I entered her dreams. Even though I'd been by her side every single day, when she suddenly could see me again, an aching sense of long time no see welled up inexplicably in my heart. Willow Reed stared at me without blinking. Suddenly, she smiled. I didn't know what she was smiling about, only saw her slowly approach me, then open her arms to embrace me. Ethan Chase. Her voice carried a cautious tone of something lost and found again as she softly asked, "You're back, right? I knew you'd return." Come back for what? To find me. Why come back to find me? Because you love me. You see, Willow Reed always knew that I loved her. In dreams, we could converse without barriers. I asked her, "Do you love me too?" Willow Reed nodded. Then I smiled too, smiling until tears streamed down my face. I've prayed countless times that she loved me, but when she actually admitted it herself, I couldn't believe it. Is love not searching even once during the 2.5 years I was missing? Is love changing 8 boyfriends? Is love being entangled with Liam for years? When I loved her, even when she gave me no response, I never thought of finding someone else. Love should be exclusive and loyal. I got the answer I wanted while alive, but it seems I no longer care as much. What I want most now is to leave Willow Reed's side. I want to go back and see my parents. I'm very worried about them. 10 Originally, I planned to ask Willow Reed in my dream to visit my home, but before I could speak, he was woken by his phone ringing. The dream is gone, and I can no longer converse with her. And there's that Liam again. On the phone, he said, "Willow, I've been in a car accident." Willow Reed asked, "Where are you?" Liam provided an address just a short distance from Willow Reed's home. Willow Reed rushed there and found Liam sitting in the snow. He suddenly stood up as Willow Reed approached, embracing Willow so tightly it hurt. "Willow, thank you. I thought you wouldn't come." His embrace was so fervent, as if clutching the hope of his remaining years. I couldn't bear watching this scene. It made my past self seem utterly ridiculous. And it made what Willoughby Reed had said in the dream seem utterly ridiculous. But I couldn't leave and was practically dragged along to the hospital with them. Liam had hit his head, sustaining a mild concussion. After reviewing the test results, the doctor didn't think it was serious and left it up to them to decide whether to stay for observation or go home. Liam chose to stay at the hospital while pleading with Willoughby Reed, "Willoughby, my family isn't here. Could you stay and take care of me for now?" Willow Reed frowned as if deep in thought. A few seconds later, she nodded in agreement. "Me? Didn't you just cry your eyes out over my death moments ago? Didn't you say you didn't like Liam? So what does this mean then?" As expected, women have no hearts. No sooner had I finished complaining than Willow Reed picked up her phone and called her assistant. "I need you to handle 2 things for me. Miss Reed, as you requested. My friend was hospitalized after a car accident. Find a reliable caregiver for them." "Certainly. Also, I want to meet someone." 11. The person Willow Reed wanted to meet was the man who robbed and murdered me 3 years ago. Her assistant proved quite resourceful, calling her the very next morning to report, "Miss Reed, everything has been arranged. You can go directly at 3 p.m. this afternoon." All right, I went with Willow Reed. She showed my photo to the murderer. Remember this person? Perhaps the part of the chat logs where I fawned over Willow Reed back then, along with the transfer records, left too strong an impression. The other person immediately nodded and said, "I remember." "Can you tell me about the situation back then?" The murderer chuckled lightly and raised an eyebrow at her. "Who are you? What's your relationship with him?" "He's my lover." "Impossible, he was still a single dog back then," the murderer said with certainty. "I even used his phone to chat for half a year with the person he was simping for." "It's me," the murderer froze, scrutinizing Willow Reed carefully. "Seems like it really is you. I saw your photo on his phone before. You weren't this polished back in the day." Willow Reed pressed her lips together without speaking, but I noticed the hand she had hidden beneath the table had quietly clenched into a fist. The person across from me continued, "Never thought you'd be doing so well now. Have you ever thanked him for his help? I saw he transferred quite a bit of money to you. Did he finally say anything?" "I don't know. I was nervous too. I stabbed him so many times, he probably didn't have the strength to speak." Willow Reed's hand clenched tighter, nails nearly digging into flesh. The other person kept rattling on about everything they'd seen on my phone, as if telling a story. "I met Willow Reed when she was at her poorest, and from the day I confessed my feelings, I started transferring money to her non-stop. Every night, I'd send another sum, always with the same question attached. 'Will you be with me today?' At first, Willow refused to accept it until I insisted. When you love someone, you should spend on them. Don't worry, every transfer is marked as a voluntary gift with special meaning. Even if your startup fails someday, I'll never ask for it back." Later, perhaps because it became too difficult, Willow Reed began accepting the money I transferred. She accepted every single payment yet never once replied with a single yes. I kept swinging between two thoughts: her accepting my money means she's interested in me too, and she's just in need of help but doesn't like me. Until the day I was murdered. After the killer took my phone, though they contacted Willow Reed, they never sent her money again. Fortunately, Willow Reed's career was already on track by that time, and within the following year, it took off completely. So when my soul awoke, what it saw was her standing at the pinnacle of success. Dressed in haute couture, she spoke confidently on stage. No trace of her former struggles remained, just an air of triumph, refined dignity, and quiet poise. I had secretly felt fortunate. If I hadn't died, Willoughby Reed would probably despise me now. 12. After leaving the police station, Willoughby Reed didn't return to the hospital again. Liam called her, but she didn't answer and went straight home. Then, she finally unlocked that phone and let me see what was inside. The photo album was filled entirely with pictures of me, some I had actively sent to her, others she had saved from my social media accounts. And then there were the few snapshots she had secretly taken during our sparse encounters. She had thoroughly deleted all her chat histories with others in the messaging app, leaving only our conversations meticulously preserved. After the killer blocked her from my phone, she began reaching out to me on her own. "Where are you? Can we meet? There are things I need to say face to face. Can you ask me that question again? I choose to be with you today, and I'll choose you tomorrow too. Are you really giving up on me? You said you'd be furious if I was with another man. Now that I've dated so many others, why haven't you gotten angry and come to confront me? Your mother came looking for me, saying you've gone missing. She couldn't reach you by phone. Reply immediately when you see this." She must have lost her mind. Every message she sends comes with a red exclamation mark. How could I possibly see it? And how could I reply? She also called me many times, though of course, the calls never went through. That number of mine still exists because she and my parents keep topping up the balance. Willow Reed would always message me after topping up her phone credit. Still not forgiving me today? Just as I used to ask her every night back then, persistent and hopeless. 13. That night, Willow Reed didn't sleep at all. She held onto that phone, sometimes sitting on the bed, sometimes moving to the living room, before finally settling on the floor by the window. Outside stretched an endless night, moonlight falling on snow, the reflected glow cold and solitary. Like Willow Reed's feelings at this moment, she is an orphan, having grown up in an orphanage, bullied by other children and abused by the director. Her childhood was painful and dark. For her, someone like me, who appeared suddenly and then vanished, was the only person in her entire life who made her feel warmth and a stirring in her heart. She would rather I remain missing forever than know I had been killed. The last glimmer of hope in her heart was extinguished, and it felt like her whole world had collapsed. "Ethan, I miss you so much," she murmured to the moon, unaware that I was right beside her. I reached out and made a gesture of pinching her cheek, tilting my head as I called, "Willow Reed." She couldn't hear anything, so I was free to speak my mind without restraint. "Actually, I haven't been happy for over a year since I've been by your side. Watching you constantly change boyfriends, I thought you'd long forgotten me. If you like me so much, why didn't you accept me sooner? If only you'd been braver back then, would our ending have been different?" Willow Reed suddenly got up and went outside while I was talking to myself. It had been snowing for the past 2 days, leaving a thick blanket on the ground. She built a snowman. From a distance, I drifted away for a clearer view quite resembled me. Willow Reed then circled behind the snowman and wrote 2 words on its back, beloved. Then she stood before the snowman, staring at it relentlessly. It was freezing outside, yet she hadn't even put on a coat. I urged her, Willow Reed, come inside. She remained motionless. Then, at the very end, stepped forward and hugged the snowman. When the sun rises tomorrow, the snowman will melt bit by bit until it disappears completely. It felt as though I had completely vanished from her world. 14. My parents quickly arranged the funeral because they wanted to put me to rest as soon as possible. Willow Reed also attended, but was stopped at the entrance of the funeral by my childhood friend Sean Harris. What are you doing here? Sean growled. Get lost. You don't deserve to see Ethan off on his final journey. I know. Willow Reed's voice was hoarse. Before she could finish her sentence, Sean bombarded her again. Ethan was so into you back then. Even though you never responded, he always talked about you so sweetly. And then what? He died on his way to see you. Oh, I almost forgot. To this day, Willow Reed still doesn't know that when I died, not only was I transferring money to her, but I was also on my way to see her. Because the next day was her birthday, and she happened to be working late at the office that night, so I wanted to go surprise her for her birthday. Of course, I also harbored a little selfish hope that I'd be the first to wish her a happy birthday. I'd mentioned this to Sean before setting off, so he remembered it all along. That day at the police station, the murderer had also brought it up briefly. It's just that Willow Reed was so absorbed in her own emotions at the time, she might not have caught it clearly. Now she heard it clearly, and her expression looked as if struck by lightning. Sean still felt unsatisfied and cursed at her viciously. You didn't cherish Ethan when he was alive, and now you come to see him off after death. Who are you trying to disgust? Ethan or his parents? Get out now. I won't tell Ethan's parents about this. Otherwise, if they find out, they won't let you in to see Ethan off either. Sean's threat was effective. Willow Reed indeed had no intention of moving forward anymore. After all, this is my final journey in this world. If she causes a scene and makes it awkward, she's worried I might be unhappy. 15. But Willow Reed didn't leave either. She stood right at the entrance of the memorial service. The usually composed and tall businesswoman stood there alone, looking unexpectedly frail and small. My parents chose my favorite suit from when I was alive and laid it in my place. At the final farewell, my mother cried so hard she fainted. I was heartbroken too, seeing so many people coming to say goodbye to me. There were my family members, my friends, they were all weeping. I glanced back at Willow Reed. She wasn't crying. Perhaps that night after returning from the police station, she had already vented all the emotions she needed to, so now she was unusually calm. She followed my parents to the hospital and then ran into Sean. Can you just stop? Aren't Ethan's parents miserable enough? They lost their only son because of you. Can't you just stay away from them? Willow Reed, I'm sorry, but you might be seeing me around them a lot from now on. What did you say? I want to take care of them for Ethan. Sean paused for a moment, then sneered. If Ethan could send you a dream message, he'd also tell you to stay away from his parents. Though they hadn't been in contact these past 2 years, Sean had heard all about Willow Reed's various exploits. There was absolutely no way he'd believe that Willow Reed could ever love me too. Get out. If I see you again, I'm calling the police. Willow Reed turned a deaf ear to his words and went straight to the ward where my parents were. Sean hurried after him. Perhaps in his haste, some words slipped out more harshly than intended. When my mother heard the words, "You killed Ethan," she jolted upright in her deathly ill state. What are you talking about? Sean, awkwardly retracting the hand that had been grasping at Willow Reed, quickly dismissed it. It's nothing. I heard everything. My mother became agitated. What exactly is going on? Does Ethan's death have something to do with her? No, Auntie, Sean didn't know how to explain either. Later, Willow Reed explained it herself. She recounted every kindness I showed her, pausing several times during the narration, taking deep breaths before continuing. By the time she finished speaking, I still hadn't heard a single word about her affection for me. My dad flew into a rage upon hearing this and told Willow Reed to get the hell out. Willow Reed didn't leave, nor did she offer any further explanation. My mother sat on the bed, mustering her last bit of strength to unleash a torrent of curses at her. Not long ago, I remember my mother going to see her, humble and cautious. How the tables have turned. Willow Reed, why didn't you ever say you liked me too? Explain it to my parents. Say you wanted to wait until your business succeeded before confessing to me. Say it. She still couldn't hear me, but I sensed that even if she could, with her stubborn nature, she wouldn't say a word in explanation. 16. Willow Reed began appearing frequently around my parents. This was good news for me. It meant I could see my parents often. But it wasn't great for Willow Reed, because my parents never gave her a friendly look again. If we're being completely honest, that murderer was the one who really deserved to die. Willow Reed couldn't have predicted what would happen to me that night. It was just an accident. Pinning all the blame on her isn't right. But during that time, my parents were too heartbroken. They held on to their anger towards her, which somewhat diverted their attention and helped them slowly endure it. Time is the best remedy. Perhaps it can't make the scars in one's heart disappear, but it can always heal them. I watched as my parents went from breaking down at the mere mention of me to merely having teary eyes when my name came up. Later on, my mother would unconsciously call my name, and when no one answered, sigh to the air, I forgot again. Ethan is already gone. Once when Willow Reed happened to visit my house before she entered, I floated inside first and saw this scene. I broke down on the spot, repeatedly saying sorry to my mother, though she couldn't hear me. I really wanted to tell her, though they opposed my relationship with Willow Reed before. I knew they just worried I might suffer. They've doted on me since childhood, how could I not know they loved me? I had originally planned that after attending Willow Reed's birthday party that night, if Willow still refused to be with me, I would give up. I couldn't keep making Mom and Dad sad forever. Who would have thought the turning point would come that very night? Mom, I'm sorry. You raised me, yet I never properly fulfilled my filial duties. During what should have been your golden years of peaceful retirement, I kept bringing you to tears. I crouched on the ground crying uncontrollably when my father opened the door and entered with Willoughby Reed following behind. This was the first time since the memorial service that my father had voluntarily invited Willoughby Reed into the house. He said to Willoughby Reed, Willoughby, we've all seen what you've done during this period. Some of the things said at the hospital that day were just angry words spoken in the heat of the moment. Willoughby Reed replied, I know, and I don't blame you. My father nodded and said, then don't come anymore after this. Seeing you only reminds us of Ethan. Those days were too hard to bear. Willow Reed's facial expression froze slightly, and the light in her eyes dimmed. My mother stood by quietly, sighing softly. The room was silent as death. After a long pause, Willow Reed bowed to my parents and said in a hoarse voice, all right, I won't disturb you anymore in the future. I hope you both take care. My parents didn't send her away. Strangely enough, this time after she left, I didn't go with her but stayed where I was. Had I finally been untethered from Willow Reed? Could I stay with my parents forever now? How wonderful. 17. In the days that followed, although Willow Reed never reappeared, Sean started visiting our home 4 or 5 times a month instead of just once. Now that I could move freely, I began following Sean around. Then I discovered he had actually been secretly meeting with Willow Reed. Don't ask me to deliver money for you anymore, I can't keep making up excuses. Besides, his parents know exactly what my family situation is like. If I keep bringing gifts too often, they'll definitely get suspicious. You didn't cherish Ethan when he was alive, so there's no need for hypocritical gestures now that he's gone. Let's end this here and now. Willow Reed waited until he finished cursing before speaking softly, I'll always take care of them. When they pass away, I'll go be with Ethan. After realizing I was gone forever, she lived every day like a walking corpse. After the invisible barrier disappeared, I spent most of my time by my parents' side. Occasionally, I still go back to visit Willow Reed. In her study at home, there's a landline. Once, someone who knows who called by mistake precisely on her birthday. That voice was so much like mine, it startled even me. Upon realizing his mistake, the young man promptly apologized over the phone. Sorry. Willow Reed, can you say happy birthday to me? It's my birthday today. Just a few words, moving your lips, no other cost required. Besides, the other person had dialed the wrong number first, so he naturally agreed. Happy birthday to you, and may all your wishes come true. After he hung up, Willow Reed didn't put down the receiver. The beeping sounds inside seemed like heavenly melodies she could never hear again in this lifetime. Birthdays come every year, but nothing will ever go perfectly right again. I was like a beam of light that abruptly pierced into her world, illuminated her briefly, then vanished just as suddenly. She tried to grasp this light, only to realize in the end that all her efforts were futile. She will forever live in the pain of losing me. Before leaving this world completely, I visited my parents in their dreams. I told them that in another world, I'm doing well, and in the next life, I still want to be reborn as their son. In the next life, I'll listen to them obediently and never make them this heartbroken again. Then I went into Willoughby Reed's dream again. Willoughby Reed, I'm leaving. She gripped my hand and wouldn't let go. After being away for so long, you've only come to see me twice. Isn't that a bit too little? I've actually been by your side all along. Willoughby Reed froze for a moment, then his eyes flickered as if somewhat embarrassed. After forcing the password out of me, he stabbed me 8 times, each strike fatal. I just feel, it's too late. Yeah, you should have let me know sooner. Do you still blame me? Of course I blame you. How about being my devoted follower in our next life? How long would it take? How should I know? Depends on my mood in the next lifetime. 10 years, please don't let it exceed that long, okay? 10 years, quite a long time, but honestly, I don't want to meet her again in the next life. This life has been miserable enough, and my parents have suffered because of me too. I don't want any more ties with her. I'm leaving. Wait a little longer. Let me look at you one more time. Stop looking. After all, I'll always be in your heart. Willow Reed smiled knowingly. True enough, when she woke up, her pillow was wet. Ethan, I won't keep you waiting too long. You must keep your promise too. 3 days later, Willow Reed settled all her affairs and took her own life. She said she would come to accompany me, but I had already vanished completely after bidding her farewell that day. In my next life, I'll have my own brilliant and splendid existence, never to meet her again. The end.